Invaders! Come on in. Look, we got a jackalope driving a bus. You're on Me Without You's tour bus. Why don't you come on in and take a look around? To your left, he's the lead singer of the band. It's a good friend, Mike Obquist, tour manager. You got Jack Kelly, driver.
Assistant to tour manager.
Assistant to knowledge beyond all depths. He's a wise man right here.
We found the bus online about 6 years ago when our previous bus had rusted out. And so Jack actually went and bought it. You remember that, Jack?
I sure do.
Down in Arkansas, Oklahoma area.
I remember when you push that button, it says, "We just bought a bus."
Yeah, we bought
it. We just bought a bus.
We bought it online. We didn't know exactly what we were getting into. We had a rental van for the first couple days of a tour while Jack went and bought this. When he drove it back, filled with these kind of seats, 2x2, about somewhere between 45 and 50. It was a passenger bus. It was made to transport a high school football team. So it even had their logo on the side. It's both sides of the bus. So we had to take out all these seats. These are the only two that we left. We took out all the rest of them. We brought them to a dump or recycling.
I tried to keep a couple sets, was my point. I wanted some more spacing forward, but...
So we took out everything from the old bus that we could salvage, including these cabinets, which we had installed into the old bus. Those cabinets over there. This countertop is new for this bus, but the couches
all the bed structures
and all the bunks we had put into our previous bus. So when that broke down, we took all of that out. We rented a moving truck and we filled it up with all the structure and all the wood, and we drove it across the country, and then we installed it into this bus throughout the course of that tour.
We were driving this bus in 2006 on the Say Anything tour. All like, I mean, it was just like makeshift bunks in the back, on just like, 2x4s and like some mattresses that we had pulled out.
Yeah.
And then like, I don't know what was even up here.
Yeah.
It was just craziness. We met up with the bus where it was junked.
Yeah, oh, that's right.
In
That's
somewhere
right.
around Washington.
Yeah.
And we literally, it was a day off, and we literally met up with the old bus.
Spokane, Washington.
It was somewhere in Spokane, and we just removed the bunks and put them in here, sort of on the fly renovation.
The first time around was a lot more work.
Yeah.
We renovated our first bus. That was like doing it from scratch. But this time, because it was a very similar model, it was almost exactly the same size bus. So just about everything that we transferred over fit perfectly into this bus, with very few exceptions. Some of the things have started to wear out. As you can see, the upholstery, we didn't get the toughest upholstery, so some of it, these are kind of covering up a little bit. Some holes in the upholstery to make
that was done just today for you.
Normal wear. It's been 6 years, but it's just normal wear and tear.
Oh yeah.
But when you're living in it, you just don't see it anymore. When you see the little things, it becomes part of the bus. It actually adds character to the bus.
Yeah.
To me, I think it's great.
But when we heard you guys were coming, we thought we wanted to, spruce it up a little bit and make it look nicer. So
we threw some Bajas over the seats, as you can see. So,
But yeah, we've got a refrigerator over
come
here.
Come on down.
This is where we keep our leftover food that's not sealable. Most of the little containers that deli meat and cheeses and
just your standard fridge.
we got a cooler here. We call it Fun Cools, where we keep all kinds of drinks and things that can seal. Anything that would spill, you wouldn't want to put in there probably. That's where we keep the stuff that needs to be refrigerated. And then we've got all this cabinet storage space for other food like dried goods, cereal.
We usually keep our games up here. We got to give them Munchkin. Aaron's got some Magic the Gathering cards we're getting into. This is where we keep all our nerd games. Yeah, you got the cereals. Here, 2 boxes of Cheerios. You always need 2 because 1 is never enough, and neither is open.
This is where rider food starts to build up.
Yeah.
We get the same food. We get a rider, so like venues often provide like dressing room food for us. But if we get the same thing every day, it doesn't all get eaten. People go out and find other food to buy, so they end up with boxes of Cheerios, some fruit. Lots of fruit gets piled up. Some peanut butter is a standard.
You always need multiple mustards, and it doesn't stop there. We got 5 peanut butters. Yeah.
First world problem.
What do we do with all this free food?
So this is all our food storage space. We have storage under here for our cooking ware. We've got a propane stove under here. We keep our propane pots and pans, knives, cutting boards, and spices, all kinds of things for when we do cook, which is actually pretty seldom these days. And then up here is all miscellaneous storage. Cleaning supplies, trash bags, first aid kit,
We got a shoe.
sporting goods.
This is our technical manual. Actually, this is actually the bus. This is a MCI. We actually use this sometimes.
Yeah.
To dig.
If something goes wrong with the bus, we troubleshoot with that.
Spare light bulbs. We actually use this. Brake lights, and there's a 24-volt system.
So it's hard to find electrical parts for the bus because it's unusual voltage. It's 24 volt, whereas most cars and vehicles are going to be 12 volts. So we have to find special parts for this bus, or else they'll just burn out. Jack's definitely the mechanic in the group. He knows way more than all the rest of us combined about how the bus runs. So whenever we have a question, he's a good guy to have around. He'll also teach us. He won't just do it for us, but try to get us involved so that we know how to do it ourselves as well. So he and I kind of partner up for all kinds of things.
Well, you want to go back here
Sleeping chambers.
to the sleeping chambers.
Make sure you say goodnight to Donna. Rest in peace, my girl. Show him your bunk. He kind of has the nicest bunk because he has this great cabinet.
Yeah, I did not install this wonderful cabinet. Our old guitarist did, Chris Kleinberg, and left it there, and I took his bunk. But now, I got this. I got a secret stash of bottles of wine back here.
And every bunk was built with one of these lights and an outlet. The idea in mind was that some of the guys were married, and we could have probably stacked them 3 high, but we wanted to give enough room for the married couple, because that was a big thing behind the band, like being able to bring out loved ones rather than leaving them behind. Kind of kept some relationships alive, I think. I don't think it would have been possible in a van to do this because people got married early. So these were built with that in mind. You can sit up, you can read. 2 people can fit comfortably. It probably doesn't look like it, but that's how it is. This is
Kevin Bacon from Hollow Man.
Hollow Man made an
here.
appearance here. So you got Hollow Man. We just leave him alone. He chills out. But yeah, everybody kind of does it differently, you know. He's got the plastic tubs, keeps some food, some toiletries. He's very organized. Me, I just keep a rucksack. You know, I got my animal mask. It's all pretty chill. It's been cold. This thing's like a frozen bullet traveling down the highway sometimes. So everybody has these crazy huge blankets, and I got used to sleeping under my blanket. Usually I don't do that, but this trip I have been because it's so cold. And then if you want to catch asbestos, you look up here, you might want to catch some weird freaky disease. That's where you're gonna get it.
So all this space back here holds about, it's about 8 people. Right now we're fitting 9, sharing some space, sharing some bunks. Not, I mean, with girlfriends. Right now in the wintertime it gets pretty cold, but we can get warm. In the summertime, however, a different story. There's no air conditioning on this bus. So we open all the windows, we open this back hatch up here, get some airflow going through.
Wind flow.
But even that, still not enough. And that's when we retreat back to the front lounge.
Yeah.
It's a lottery essentially where all these windows are open. Hopefully we're traveling about 50-60 miles on the road. You can just lay out here, bring your pillow.
First come, first serve. Whoever happens to be out here, they get the
But those hot Texas nights.
Miserable.
Yeah,
miserable.
Especially when you pull over and park, you get to your venue. Oh, it's miserable.
Yeah, it's 100 degrees in Austin. The worst, I don't mind the heat because we keep the windows open. You're bound to get 1 or 2 flies. It's the fly that keeps they always come towards my ear. I don't know why.
They only go to Ricky's bunk.
I feel that. I'm like Pigpen back there. It's disgusting. Right now, what you see back here are some boxes. Because this is like a 15-day tour, we don't have that much. But usually, this whole area is wall-to-wall merch. We usually keep the LPs over here because it's a nice spot. Usually the only person that comes back here is our merch guy. And it would be nice to have a back lounge, a reading lounge, but we never got a trailer.
We don't want to haul a trailer. So this is our trailer space. And all the gear is also
under the bus.
We'll
take a look
which
at
we'll show you later. But right back here, we just, boxes of t-shirts.
Boxes of t-shirts.
What do you want? $20. No problem.
So we have a washroom over here. It's more or less a makeshift bathroom. There's a toilet in there. I don't want to disgust my mother, so we probably shouldn't.
You don't want to see what goes on there.
But yeah, it is a washroom, and it's more for the ladies because guys, we have what we call pee buddies. I'm not going to explain what a pee buddy is, but a Gatorade bottle works perfect for that. And if there's a lot that goes on in that bathroom.
Also, old like when you get sweaty, gross clothes, they get tossed back here.
And they dry eventually, especially in the summer because the wind flow coming from the hatch.
It makes difficult for the merch guy when you've got to deal with that stinky underwear all over the stuff.
Yeah, you want to catch asbestos.
More asbestos, that's your opportunity. When we run out of space in the back for merch, we also, this was designed by the guys in the band, extra storage space. We got other t-shirts, we got LPs, we got flats. Each one of these things does that, like this. This isn't quite as packed. Over here is where we store non-merch. Spare parts, drills, fan belts, stuff like that. It's a kind of a mess. We try to keep it organized, but there's a lot of tools because this bus requires a lot of work. I guess let's go out and look at where we store all our gear.
And we decided to sand all that off and paint it with this almond base coat. And then our friend Saliha Moore, who's an artist who lives in California, did the floral design for the most part. Right now it's actually pretty filthy, and we're gonna, once we get into some warmer climate, we're gonna wash all this off so it doesn't begin to rust. It's the reason our last bus rusted out, because it was run up north where they salt the roads a lot, and that can corrode the metal on the bus. So we're gonna give this a good washing once we get down south, probably in a day or two. Also, we tried spray painting the windows. Behind these are the bunk beds, so you don't want to see, it's like the back of the plywood, or you see electrical wiring. We tried to paint over for aesthetic reasons, but I can't figure out how to get this spray paint to stick to the glass. Everything else, it sticks pretty good, but it always chips off the glass. Every year at the repaint it after the season. These are the luggage bays, so we keep all of our equipment under here. This one is generally designated for merchandise. It's empty right now, it's all been loaded into the show, but you know, you can see we've got our spare fuel tank, some extra motor oil, antifreeze, other tools, and spray paint.
Show us some of the other ones. So it looks like in some of these other bays.
Rick, what are you doing? How long was I down there for? This is where we keep gear.
All the gear goes in
my drum bay in particular. If you can see, it goes straight through to the other side, and there's a couple of these that house all our gear. So it's very convenient in that sense. Oh, yeah. There's no trailer.
And then the last bay over here is a pretty interesting one. You guys all lift it up.
Auxiliary fuel tank. So it's a backup fuel tank. This is a 140-gallon tank up front that takes diesel. This is a backup fuel tank. It's also 140 gallons, and we could put any kind of fuel in it that we'd like. We usually run vegetable oil in here, so we'd run it on.
Sometimes, but we always run vegetable oil in here.
We used to run, yeah.
We used to run vegetable oil.
Used to run vegetable oil. So it's a split tank. So it has a storage tank and an active tank. There's a filtration system on there. You can see there's some valves that can allow us to choose which tanks are active, which ones are being held in reserve, and there's a fuel pump in there, so we can use to transfer fuel from one container into this. Then it goes into some heated fuel lines to the back of the bus, which I'm not sure how well you can see in there, but there's an extra fuel filter in there. So it's like a water separator. It gets out particulate and water, and so we can drain out all the unwanted water and change that filter actually pretty often. When we used to run grease, it was pretty dirty, so we had to swap it out every 500 miles or so. There's a few other fuel filters on there that you can't see.
Let me show you something that's interesting though. These are blocks of wood. I see how close that door is to the sidewalk? Sometimes it gets so close that we have to drive up on these blocks of wood to lift the bus high enough so the door doesn't hit the sidewalk there. This is where the magic really happens, right back here.
It's an 8V71 Detroit diesel, so it has eight cylinders, something.
Well, you got big 2 squirrel cage cooling fans, 2 radiators on each side. During the summer we do overheat. When we start running 65 miles an hour, we had to slow down to 45. In itself, it's a pretty bulletproof engine being built in 1976. Almost everything's mechanical. There's no computer on board. It makes it very dependable that way. It holds a lot of fluids. Things like 8 gallons of oil.
12 gallons of oil, at least 12 gallons of oil. So you can see that little piston shoots out in order to press against this and shuts the engine off. Okay, so we all take turns driving. We used to do 200-mile shifts, and we'd have a rotation where everybody knows exactly who they're going to drive after and who they're driving before. So we'd wake up the next guy, sometimes in the middle of the night. Recently, when Jack's been coming out, he's been doing the bulk of the driving. He'll wake up early, about 5 a.m. every day.
3, 4.
So yeah, even earlier. So somebody, one of the guys will drive. Still we do 200-mile shift within the band. But then Jack
drive every day.
He drives every day.
I drive every day. So, like today was 6 or 7 hours. But I enjoy the hell out of driving. Trying to do a culture where I drive for comfort. Of course, safety. But if you're driving for comfort, you've got safety covered because you're taking all your corners, slowly. You're applying your brakes gently. You're accelerating gently. The more and more I do it, the more I want to make it like a perfect ride. I don't want these guys to feel any bump. Like I take it personal. If I hit like a bridge across the road, you go bam bam. I take it personally. Like, oh man, I should have known. I should have slowed down for it. I should have known. I take like every little bump or on ramp that's a real tight. I just want to slow way down for it and make it really comfortable as possible.
Because it's a living space, so you have everyone just kind of hanging out, or maybe they're laying down or just sitting around talking. If you're slamming on the accelerator or slamming on the brake, it get real jerky. So everybody, you end up feeling it by the end of a ride. You get car sick. If someone's
you
not
just don't sleep
conscious
well.
of it.
Yeah, you're conscious. You're automatically conscious, especially when the engine quits running. When something goes wrong, especially when we used to burn vegetable oil a lot and the engine would quit running. It's like, oh no, not again. Yeah, and you just always dread, you know, when you're laying there half asleep waiting for that engine to quit.
But it's really not much different than driving any other automobile once you're out on the highway. I mean, where you mainly feel the difference is when you're accelerating and decelerating and coming around corners. So it takes a lot longer to speed up. You're going an uphill especially, it's got a very, very slow climb. You can't, especially in a city like Chicago. New York's the worst, but Chicago's pretty bad, or in Philadelphia, where we're from. Trying to make a right-hand turn especially, it's just, you have to always account for, you know, I got to take this really wide, you know, kind of sweep into the oncoming lane, and even then, you know, I'm driving into the oncoming lane and then whatever street I'm going on to. Even then, sometimes it's not even possible doing that. You know, you have to think, well, we can't go down this road. It's just, we can't, it's impossible. And similar with overpasses, highway overpasses, some bridges have weight limits. So we have a GPS that tells us which way to go, but it doesn't know that we have, you know, we're driving around this 17-ton bus. So it'll tell us to go across a bridge that might have a 4-ton limit. So we have to find our own way around, you know.
Or there's a clearance limit too. This bus is 11 feet tall. Sometimes we'll come at an overpass that's 10 feet tall. Rarely that happens, but Long Island Expressway is one. We just bumped into one the other day. Where were we? Stratford, Connecticut. We're trying to get to a movie theater on a day off. And it took us it was 2 miles away, but it took us like 40 minutes to get there. It was a wild ride. Why don't we show you the cockpit itself?
This is actually old 1950 style, but this was built in the 76, but this would be not much different than a bus built in the 50s. It is an automatic. I'm very conscious of what gear to keep in. If I'm going slow speed, I try to drop it in low so it doesn't keep shifting. It's amazing when you're sitting up here, it doesn't feel like you're in a long bus. Once you're up and cruising on the highway, it drives so nice and quiet and smooth. We have a few complications here as far as any bus. You know, we have an air brake system. You have to air up, make sure you got enough air until your brakes release.
We've got a switch here we install, which is going to either connect or disconnect these deep cycle marine batteries. We got these deep cycle batteries so that we could keep the power on even when we get to a venue and we can't get shore power, or if we shut down at a truck stop and we don't have any access to electricity. Without having these, basically if we wanted to run the lights or run the refrigerator, run our fans, we'd have to draw on the bus batteries, and then you're running a chance it won't start back up, something like that. So we got these so that basically we tried to wire it so the alternator will charge those up while the bus is running, but then when we shut down, we flick that switch and it isolates these batteries. So then we can draw all the internal bus power off of these 2 batteries and drain those down, and then we can, you know, use the fans and the lights for a while without even touching the bus starter battery. That's the idea. I'm still not 100% sure we wired it correctly, but that was...
Thanks for checking out our bus.
Yeah.
We've been Me Without You and friends.
Friends, actually, I'm a father-in-law. My daughter married Me Without You. Yeah.
So yeah.
Thank you for paying attention, and we hope to see you sometime.
Now get off this bus.
Get out of here, you dirty